Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you guys are all well. So in this video, we are going to talk about how to use state in React. So let's go. So state is a correct way to declare variables in React. So state is a memory or database inside each and every component, not a database, a small type of database. For example, as you see on my screen, this is the counter app. There's a two buttons, plus and minus. So whenever we hit plus button, the counter value goes up. And whenever we hit the minus button, the counter value goes down. So how to keep a track? So to keep a track to this counter value, we are going to use a state. Previously, state is only supported by class-based component. Now, React hooks came in a picture, and then after we are able to use state in functional component also using a hook called useState. You can store any type of data inside state. You can store objects having different values, arrays, numbers, strings, boolean value, anything you want to store. So let's go ahead to build this counter app as an example and understand how state works in React. So let's go. So as you see on my screen, I have already created my React project here. So now we are going to create a counter app in both functional based component and class based component. So first of all, we are going to create in a functional based component. So here, just create a template for our counter app. So here we are going to use a h2 for title. So welcome to my counter app, and then a h1 for our counter value, and just type 0 here, and then two buttons, button for decrement and button for increment, and save it. And you can see the counter app is nearly ready now. Now in simple programming language, to increment and decrement this counter value, first of all we have to assign or create a variable here. So I just create it var count, and initial value must be 0, and save it. Now just paste it here, count, and save it. Now to increment and decrement this count variable, we want to use here functions. So const increment equals to, and this is the ES6 snippets for functions in JavaScript. Now we have to increment that variable using this by 1. So we just increment it by 1. Similarly, decrement it by 1. Just change the name and minus it. Now we have to assign these variables, functions to both the buttons. So whenever we hit or click the minus button, it runs decrement function, and whenever we click on plus button, it runs the increment function. Now I save it, and we just click on plus and minus buttons. So I click it and it does not work because we does not make counter app in a React way. Here we are going to use state to make counter app works. So here the state comes in picture. So how to use state in functional component? So here, to use a state, we are going to use a hook called useState. As you can see on the screen, I just imported it, import from React. And now, instead of calling variable like this way, just use const, and this is the syntax, basic syntax of useState. So just memorize it, the count value itself, and this is the function, or you may call setter, to update the count variable. And now just type useState, and the initial value must be 0 here. You can define any value initially. So I just if you want to use 0 as an initial, then type 0. If you want 1 as an initial, then you just type 1. So it changed, as you can see on the screen. So we use 0 here, so just type 0. Now this is the syntax, this is the value itself, and this is the setter to update the count value, or variable. Now we have to set this increment function. So just type set count to update our count variable. So the current value of the count, and increment it by 1. Save it. And similarly for decrement function, so current value minus 1, and save it. And now you can see the counter app works. So how this state works in React? Basically, we have to store, or we have to set up a state where our count variable lives. And whenever we update the count variable by clicking these buttons, React compares the current value which is on the screen to the new value by updating the new value. And by using virtual DOM, it compares the actual value which is on the screen and the new value by using virtual DOM. And then React knows which part of the web page or web app needs to refresh or re-render. So it make it refresh and update it. That's the state works in React. And here we are created a functional based counter app, as you can see on the screen, and this is very simple. Now we are going to create a class based component, and class based component, or make a counter app in a class based component, in simple words. So just create here a new file, or type app class.js, and thanks to ES6 snippets, by typing RCC we get the boilerplate of React class component. And now we have to use this app class component. So just type class based component. Now we have to use this class based component, save it. We have to use this class based component in index.js. So app class, and import this and save it. Now you can see class based component appears. Now just go to app.js and copy the syntax and paste it here. Now you can see the count is not defined, decrement is not defined, increment function is not defined. So we have to copy that things. So first of all, we have to copy these functions here, and copy this function above render function, and save it. Now in class based component, you does not need to provide keywords to function. So remove these keywords and save it. So you can see decrement and increment is appear. Or now we are going to create a state here. So for that you have to create a constructor here which having a props as a parameter, and then curly braces. Inside curly braces type super and props and save it. Now type this. So this keyword refers to the instance of this class as class-based component in React approach to object-oriented programming. So this represented the instance of this class component. And now this inside this type state, and here in class-based component state is a object. So just create curly braces, and inside that we just need to define our count variable, and initial value must be 0. Okay, this is the state in class-based component. Now we have to use this count variable here. So for that simply this refer to the instance of this class, and inside this there is a state, and inside the state there is a count. So similarly to this decrement and function, as you can see this increment function is inside the class, so just type here this refers to the instance of this class, and inside that there is a decrement function. So this dot increment and save it. So half of the errors are gone now. Now we have to update this counter value. So how to achieve that goal in class based component? There is some complication here to understand here. So this refer to the instance, and inside this there is a set state function, and we just need to call here a curly braces as state inside class based component is object. Now we just need to update our count variable. So count, so the current value of the count, and increment it by 1. So this things, that's it guys, and copy this and paste it here. And now we want here decrement, so minus it. Now our class counter app in class base is now ready. So save it. Now you can see here by clicking on plus button the counter value goes up, and by clicking the minus button the counter value goes down. So this is very complicated in class based component. Now we have to compare both the things. This is the counter app in functional component, and this is the counter app in class based component. So functional, according to my point of view, class based component is very easy to use and very handy to read. You can easily read the, as you can see, this is the state, this is the value itself, and this is the setter. And inside functional based component, every state variable or every state has its own setter function, and inside class based component there is not every state or every state variable has its own state variable or setter function. So mark my words. So as you can see, class based component is very hard to learn, not hard to learn, it's very complicated to read. So according to my point of view, functional based component is very easy to learn, and class based component is very complicated to learn. So that's it guys, this is the state in React. If you like my video, please Click on like button and share with your friends, and subscribe my channel also. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching, guys.